Welcome to Comically Comics, your one-stop listen to all things comics. We're talking books, movies, TV shows, video games, and more. I must forewarn you, though, we are a spoiler cast, and what that means is we consider all properties, past, future, and present, to be valid, and we will spoil the hell out of them. I'm your host, Michael, along with my two co-hosts, Richard and Jeremy, and with all that being said, let's get started. Alrighty, it's Sunday. Not Sunday. Holy shit, it's Monday. It's late on a Monday.
It is.
It is.
It's October 16th. But we are here to discuss Loki, Season 2, Episode 2. But before that, we have to acknowledge one of our fallen. That is Keith Giffen, born November 30th, 1952, died October 9th of 2023. Writer, artist, made some major contributions, co-creating Rocket Raccoon, Lobo, Ambush Bug. I believe he had his hands in the makings of Kate Kane Batwoman, Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, also was like main contributor of Justice League International series that came out, did stuff for DC Comics, Marvel Comics, Image Comics, Valiant Comics. Just long run of Legion of Superheroes run. So, and then the most interesting thing to me was that on my Instagram, I follow Ross Ritchie. And Ross Ritchie is the chairman of Boom Studios. And he made this long post that I sent it to y'all guys because I wanted y'all to see it because I just thought it was so cool that basically he was giving credit to Keith for being like the inspiration, the drive to actually form Boom Studios, who is known for like books like Giant Days and Lumberjanes and Berserker and Something is Killing the Children. Something is Killing the Children, Berserker probably being the biggest titles coming from over there. But they also have properties like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and stuff like that. Like I think those comics would have still made it somewhere, but like they're at Boom right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So just major, like just creator in comic books that we lost. So may he rest in peace. Thank you, sir, for your everything that you contributed and gave us. And thank you big time for your family for their supporting you to go and give us these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope he was able to see. I don't know what exactly how he passed and if he was able to, but since Blue Beetle was like Jaime Reyes was brought to the big screen, I was hoping he was able at least to see that. So.
Oh, yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it was either. But surely, and that was one of the comments that I've made is that like he's like that's honestly lucky, for lack of better words, I guess, to have seen like Rocket Raccoon making the screen, Lobo have making the small screen and stuff like that, and just hearing the talks of possibility of a logo coming to a bigger screen, seeing Batwoman in TV and stuff like that. And then the newest one, Jaime, coming to the big screen. Like those characters were never big characters. And to have seen so many of those made the screen, like, I don't know, that's just something special to me.
That's what I was going to say is like not just Rocket going to the big screen, but becoming like a fan favorite.
Right? Right?
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just, I know Richard brought it to my attention. I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledged it and stuff like that. And, we as a podcast acknowledged it and gave credit where credit was due because a lot of these people don't get the credit they deserve a lot of the time. So,
yeah.
On to Loki, Season 2, Episode 2, entitled Breaking Brad.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah, I did. I absolutely loved it.
Well, what is y'all's whelmings for this then?
Well, mine is I'm still just pleasantly to overly whelmed with it. I mean, it's still, my wife and I were talking about it after we watched the episode, and just it's to me and to her, it's like it's the best Disney Plus Marvel series on there. And yeah, I really loved all about this one. It was I love that we got to see more of like actual Loki being Loki, and it was really cool how they played that out. So it was just a really, really cool episode.
Richard?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about it. I am pleasantly whelmed still, but I do have kind of beef because the pacing on this episode was way off, and Also, this episode felt like we were missing an episode. A lot of people have already talked about this. It felt like we had like episode 3 and episode 2 forgot to air. But other than that, like, to say all that, I still like this. Yeah, one of my notes is the Loki using his magic stuff. We'll delve more into it after this. But yeah, loved it. Pretty pleasantly whelmed.
I'm cautiously whelmed. Like, I want to be so overly whelmed about this and like be like, yes, everything's like coming together. It's like, it feels like the old good times again and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, the time loom outside and the way that they're portraying time and kind of how they've already been hypocritical about it, just the start of this show. Like, I sent y'all a text about how we spent the whole saga saying, oh yeah, time's not really linear. Like, that's not how shit works. Like, it branches it off. And then the first episode of this is time is linear. And I'm like, well,
I would disagree with you on that. Time is not linear. What they're saying, time is a loop, I think, is what they're saying, and I think we'll come to that realization at the end of this story. But
no, I'm okay. Yes, I agree with you on the loop part of it. But it's still like you can still go back in that same, and it doesn't create a branch. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways.
not in the TVA, because they keep saying, but which they've established those rules that the TVA time doesn't work the same way as it does like for the rest of the universe, because they're probably outside of time, or that they're at the end of time, probably. Who knows?
That gets fucking annoying. You're making rules for one section and they don't apply to the other. That's just.
Well, I know, but like they kept, the only reason I'm saying I'm not making the rules, they keep saying it over.
Yeah,
like
right,
Mobius keeps saying. I mean, he said it like 15 times in one episode. Probably is like time doesn't work that way.
Yeah. That's my only thing is that like it can take one slip up and like I feel like really fuck this whole thing up. You know what I mean? And so like I want to be overwhelmed by this. I'm so like right there at it and ready to just say it. But so that's why I'm just sticking with the cautiously whelmed. Like I'm definitely pleasantly whelmed, but I'm right there, just right there teetering into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. On to the episode. We have got Loki and Mobius looking for Sylvie, and they have found X5, and they believe that he knows the location of Sylvie. We go through his whole, like, what he has done with his life real quick, like, because I guess there just wasn't enough story there or something. I don't know. Anyways, and to take us all the way to where Sylvie is, and then that brings us kind of like to the climax of the episode where TVA, like a section of the TVA, has just gone rogue, and they've just like, fuck it, we're just going to destroy everything to save ourselves. So pretty much the episode in a nutshell. But start things off in London in 1977. So I guess this is what everybody's talking about as far as like the episode, us missing an episode, because we jump right in and we're looking for X5, who's a movie star.
Yeah.
And he's taking his life back. Like,
yeah, the last we saw of X5 was he was walking past a bunch of troops that were all loaded up with those bombs and stuff going through a time portal. And he was like, what's going on here? And like, then next thing we know, he's in, I forget what year it is, but anyway, he's on the sacred timeline and he's posing as Brad Wolf. And yeah, and it's just like, what? I was going to talk about it at the end, but I think there should be an episode in between this one and that one where we see Sylvie, the episode is predominantly just about Sylvie living her life, meeting these people, whoever that she meets at McDonald's and works with, and all this stuff, and then it cuts back and forth to like Mobius and Loki looking for a way to track down Sylvie, and then it eventually leads them to, at the end of the episode, they realize, oh, we found X5. They see a trailer for Zaniac or something like that. And they're like, oh shit, that's X5. And the episode ends there. And then this episode picks up where that one left off. Because when they basically kill all the branches, we're supposed to feel something for this, but we don't. Like, we needed some sort of connection. I know that she didn't kill Sylvie's branched timeline. But I'm just saying, like, we needed some sort of establishment there because I don't give a shit about these McDonald's people. I don't like. We need some kind of way to like connect with them, to know them as a person. And it just felt weird. It feels very off.
Well, we know that apparently Jimmy needed a ride home, possibly.
Yeah, who cares though? Like, who's Jimmy? Like, I know who Jimmy is, but I'm saying like who is he as a person? Like, we don't know. Like he looks like some 15-year-old kid that somehow made manager at McDonald's.
Yeah, probably has a crush on Sylvie.
Yeah,
it seemed like.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like too, which is weird.
Poor Jimmy.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Zaniac, since we're talking about it, is an actual character in Marvel Comics.
Huh.
First appearance was Thor 319.
Yeah.
So, and from what the awesome app Key Collector says, because I wanted like some kind of a rundown on it, it's an entity that possessed human vessels with the intent to murder. So that's pretty intense. I'm just gonna say, like,
Yeah.
Sounds demonic almost.
Specifically, Brad Wolf was like in the 80s that gets like possessed by Zaniac.
Okay.
But yeah, he's just a very obscure comic book character that they can just throw away.
Right. Well, when everybody saw that leak, that book went stupid. Like,
oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did.
Which just was insane to me. So y'all were talking it earlier when y'all sitting there mentioning y'all's like whelms for the episode and stuff like that. One of my notes was love seeing Loki back to his old tricks, and pun intended on that. So I really did love seeing him use his magic and everything else and making the shadows bigger and growing the horns and just everything. I was just like, yes, this is what I want.
Yeah. They did a great job too of like earning that moment because like Loki's chasing after Brad and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you have magic. Like, you just blasted him at one point with it. Like, what are you doing? And then, of course, the reveal is like, oh, this was all just a trick. And he had him in his trap to begin with. And I love that because, anyway, like, you can see the, like, punk rockers that Loki used to, like, imitate. They're, like, in the background and stuff like that before Brad is, like, running away kind of thing. Anyway, it's just really cool. The other cool thing that someone on Reddit, I gotta credit him. Oh Lila, my Lila is the user's name, but it's a cool detail from the MCU that I've never noticed, and I just thought I'd bring it up. Is back when Loki was sort of creating the character of Loki, him and the actress that plays his mom, Frigga, wanted to have a similar sort of like nervous tick. And for Loki and Frigga, if you watch it, they'll play with their rings or they'll pick at their hands. That's a nervous tick that Loki will do. They do it throughout multiple like MCU movies, including when Loki is impersonating Odin and Thor's trying to reveal to everyone that Odin's being like impersonated by Loki.
Yeah.
You can see Odin, he's like picking at his ring. Well, the cool little the reason why I bring all this up is when the three Lokis are standing there and Mobius is like, don't you think that's a little much? The real Loki is picking at his hand. So it's kind of like a tell to know which one's real.
Cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a neat little detail.
When old Brad Wolf, because he was bound and determined to be called that, started throwing out shots at his mom. I was like, oh, buddy, you're walking on ice there. You're walking on ice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I really thought Loki was about to lose it, but then it's like, well, he was able to. It was cool seeing him kind of control it and almost trying to like manipulate that a little bit too.
Yeah. I wrote a note for later, but you can definitely tell Loki has grown as a person. There's a line he says to Sylvie at the end, which I love. It's harder to stay, and I just wrote down, Abor's growing up. He's growing up. He's being so big and so mature now. Like, but yeah, I love it. I think it's a really nice character development for this character that we've seen for 10 plus years.
But the funny thing about it is that Loki that we're seeing that's growing up and stuff like that, that's the Loki that hasn't gone through everything that we've seen.
Right. That is true.
Which is crazy.
technically he watched it on video. He didn't technically he didn't what do you call it, lived through it. But yeah, you are correct on that, at least with the technicality.
Because this was a branch to Loki. So that's the whole reason he was there at the TVA.
Right.
Well, part of it anyways. But yeah. I also wrote down a note that it's just funny to me is that, nobody knew of Obi before season 2. And now everybody's like, oh, take this to Obi. Oh, show this to Obi. Where's Obi at? It's like, poor guy. Nobody gave a shit about him and whatever.
Except for, what's his name that asked for his autograph?
Casey.
Yeah, Casey.
Yeah.
That's only when Casey realized that he wrote the handbook that he absolutely loves.
Well, he knew of him because he was like, "You're Ouroboros?"
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
he just didn't know that they were calling him OB.
Yeah.
Like
Gotcha,
OB was
gotcha.
Ouroboros.
The other thing that's weird though about that scene though is he says something about, he's like, "Can you sign my handbook?" And he's like, "Sign right here next to your picture." He says, "Sign right here next to your picture." And I was
thought
like,
that's what he said.
I was like, how do you not know what he looks like then? I mean, he's got glasses. Maybe it's the Clark Kent effect.
Well, they don't age there. It doesn't look like, because there's no time.
No, they
time
don't.
didn't work that way there.
No, it doesn't. And I don't know. Like, but his eyesight got poor apparently. I don't know. Because like we saw in the past, he didn't need glasses. I love Ki Hui Kwan, like OB's character. Like, I just love him. I love the like when he's working on that temporal aura extractor thing to like fix the loom, and then they come there with a temp pad, and he's like, "Do you think this is a higher priority than preventing a temporal meltdown?" And they're like, no, you keep working on that. And he's like, "All right, well then here, you take this, and everything you need to know is in my in my manual." And yeah, and then of course when was it X-15 shows up and she's like, "Hey, there's Casey," and you just hear, "We're all gonna die." And he's like, you hear he comes up and he's like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you. We're all gonna die." He's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Poor Obi. He hadn't been around people.
No, he hasn't.
That's what gets me though, is like I said, like nobody said anything about him. They could have used him however many times. There's no telling how many times last season.
Yeah. Well, they probably hadn't invented the character until now, but
oh yes, yeah.
My headcanon is that since the last time, what is it, Morbius? God damn it, I'm doing it again. Mobius. The last time Mobius went down there was whatever 400 years. The only thing I can think of is like people maybe did go visit him, but they got their minds erased, so nobody really goes down there. Plus, you watch like all the fucking YouTube videos with all like the new rock stars and all the stuff. There's pneumatic tubes that go to him. And like, so a lot of people probably interact with him. They just don't go down to see him.
Yeah.
So like he's a bank teller and they just send him notes.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just needs Buddy to come visit him down there.
Buddy? Who's Buddy?
Elf.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that Buddy. I didn't realize we were talking about that Buddy.
Yeah. A whole different genre there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, what did y'all think about the I'm confused with this whole Loki Sylvie frustration, honestly. Like that's kind of what's bothering me with the episode, where I feel lost, because the question came, he came in and he was like, "I know I'm the last person you want to see." It's like, y'all were making out right before she kicked you through a portal. Why aren't you pissed off at her?
So that was like one of the things is my wife and I when we were watching it, like I had to go back earlier today and went and watched last season's last episode, because I was like, I don't understand some of this. And like, even after watching that, I was the same reason. Like, why did she hate him so much? Like, because I mean, I get that like he was contradicting her a little bit, but he was also like, he was trying to communicate something with her, and then she was the one that got rid of him, basically. So,
Right.
well, yeah, it's just, yeah. kind of weird.
I think it was because he tried to stop. Like, her whole mission was, I'm going to kill this guy because this guy killed everybody that I loved, took everything away from me, like literally my entire universe away from me, and then hunted me down like a dog. And then when I confess all that stuff to you, because remember that one episode when they're on Lamentus 5 or whatever it was, and when she reveals all that to Loki. Anyway, and then when it comes down to it, when she finally has her moment to kill him, he tries to stop her because he supposedly makes sense. And that's my only reasoning is like, I'm not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing, but I'm just saying that, like, that is my headcanon, if you will, of why she felt that way. I can understand, like, if I were to put myself in her shoes, I could see being pissed at Loki for that.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I would say, I guess a little, but still, it's just like, it's kind of an odd dynamic there.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm glad it makes sense to you, Richard.
Okay.
I wish I was in your shoes. What about Doc's plan of bombing all the leftover branches and stuff like that?
Yeah, again, this was something that needed to be flushed out in a better episode. Like, all that shit felt rushed. It was like, here's Sylvie, and now we're stopping. Like all the stuff that we set up. I don't know. This episode near the end screamed of like, we've only got 6 episodes. We gotta hurry up, get everything going. And I don't know. That part was really dumb to me because it was even in the same. It was on the same branched timeline as her, wasn't it? Because when they arrive, it doesn't say a new location, right? I'm trying to remember. I rewatched it today, but I don't remember seeing that.
It's got to be a different one because, it's got to be different because, like, X5 was worried that theirs was about to get blown up, basically.
Yeah, but Sylvie specifically goes back to that timeline, so it didn't get blown up.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's due to they were on that branch. My theory is their plan was to blow every branch up so Sylvie can't run anywhere. And then she's trapped on the same one that they're on, and then they just blow it up, like, as they're leaving.
Well, I think they were also trying to, like, save themselves as well. And so, because the impending doom of the time loom just exploding or whatever the case was there and, like, shattering the TVA.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a thing anymore. It doesn't seem like anyways. Because the branches aren't going past the red lines.
Well, supposedly they said 30%. We only see that one section on the monitor. That's the other thing that's weird. But they specifically say that she pruned 30% of however many there are.
Okay.
Watch. There's an episode. Once again, I'm just going to plug him. New Rock Stars. Eric Voss. You always talk about him. He did. Yes. I think he did the math of how many other potential branch timelines are still out there after the others were pruned, because you can see like little tiny numbers on the monitor. I didn't go to all that detail, but
I'm telling you, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, no, he is. He definitely goes into way detail. No, I'm not saying it's like a bad thing or anything, but
no.
I'm trying to remember what I was going to say now. No, I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I almost kind of like that, not everything was just given to me on a plate, honestly, because like having a filler episode, if you will, of Sylvie watching people do people things and X5 learning who he was and stuff like that, and him being like, all that stuff honestly just sounds like filler to me that would have been there. Whereas I feel like we just got straight to like, this is what's going on. Like, I understand your whole rush aspect of it, but I kind of like it, honestly. So just me personally.
Yeah.
But
I don't call it filler because I'm not saying like she's doing useless things. It's just we're learning. We need to see something like a payoff for Sylvie of why she like gave everybody free choice and then fucked off. Like, so in order for us to like, we need to see that in order for us to care about these people. And they didn't do any of that. And then also like the Brad thing, like they really needed to set something that up. Cause like I said, Like if you watch those episodes back to back, it's jarring. It's very jarring.
Oh, I agree.
And it's like, what the fuck happened here? So yeah, I don't think it's like a Naruto fucking filler episode where they go fucking get ramen at another village. Like I think it's important to tell a story, to have certain aspects of it so that when something, impactful happens, it has impact to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear it. I get you. I
think for the silly part of it, to me, that's kind of in the first season of understanding what she's doing, that she wants to have everybody to have that free will to be able to, and she mentions just wanting to go basically do what she's doing now, like not having to run and just being able to sit somewhere and do whatever and enjoy life. So that part of it, I think, I feel like it's partly explained in the first season, but I agree on the Brad thing. Like I didn't remember him at all. Like even as X5, I didn't really pay that much attention to him. So that was just kind of an odd thing to just jump in there on.
Well, and he didn't look the same either. And I think that kind of goes, and he shouldn't have. I'm not saying he should have, but I'm saying like it wasn't a correlation of like, this is the guy that you knew from the episode before. So yeah, it was like jarring.
Yeah.
Seeing that.
And like the Sylvie previous season, like they didn't really show much of that. And what I'm saying is like we need to see the payoff to what Sylvie wants, not what she wants. Like, in other words, what she did is actually working and she's happy with that. And people are living like happy lives and stuff like that instead of, and so that once again, so when they prune that branch, it's like, oh, fuck, all these people just died. Because right now they're just a fucking line on a screen and you have no, like, they're like, oh my God, they're killing people. And you just see like a little 8-bit line slowly like going away. And you're just like, okay, so I should care.
You even brought it to 8-bit. That's great. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying completely and understand it and get it. I don't know. I don't know how I would have wrote that though. Like in my head, I don't know how I would have made myself. You know what I mean? And I think that's where I'm like held up as like, how would I have sat there and made it to where I gave? And that also goes back to we were questioning whether or not that McDonald's was going to get blown up, and that's what X5 was saying the whole time. It was like, hey, this place we got to leave because this place is going down. And so if it was the same branch as that McDonald's, then they would have gone ahead and killed Sylvie.
Yeah,
so it wasn't even a singling her out kind of thing. It was, and they were trying to get all branches. It looked like.
Yeah, no, I think what I think they were doing is they were cutting off her escape route because she has He Who Remains Timpad, so she can literally go fucking anywhere and nobody can trace it and all this stuff. So they were cutting off her exit routes, and they stayed on the one branch. I think personally, that's why. What's his face was Brad was acting all like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, because he probably doesn't know what's been pruned and what hasn't. Like, in other words, there's a ticking clock element that Brad knows about but no one else knows about. And anyway, and once they're done, they probably would have thrown one of those bombs and then fucking left. And that, in other words, that being the last remaining branch other than the sacred timeline, which she could technically escape to there, but if she doesn't know that it's coming, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when they got in the parking lot, that's what he was explaining, though, was like, hey, this place is going. Now, when? No, he didn't know, and he didn't know if it would be the last one or anything like that. Yeah. But he knew it was going at some point, so.
You're right. I don't know about y'all, but I like you talk about how, like, they sometimes say, like, oh, time's this way, but it's not this way. I like how they just casually mentioned the events of Avengers 3 was just like, oh, or not Avengers 3, the first Avengers movie was just like, oh, Loki, that's just classic Loki. Remember when I got so mad and killed like 800 people or however many it was in New York, like just because I was mad at my dad and my brother. That shit was just like, wow, Loki.
Right?
Well, he has done some terrible, awful things.
When he used all that to get to a point where he goes, I tried to, mind control Tony Stark and it didn't work, and I just threw him off a building. I was mad. I wasn't in control. I was just mad and did that.
Yeah.
That's what got me, was going from that whole story of like having revenge against his brother and father and taking this alien race to do war on Earth. And the baddest part about all that was he lost his temper and threw Tony Stark off a building.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, sometimes you just lose control.
And then Hulk lost his temper and slammed Loki through the ground.
Yeah.
Basically.
Right. Right.
The interesting thing there is he mentions about using a Infinity Stone to like mind control Tony Stark. So I guess he knew all along, or at least this variant one did, that it was an Infinity Stone.
Well, so that was one of the first things in season 1 that he went to a drawer and they were like, "Oh, those are Infinity Stones. They mean nothing here."
Yeah.
And there's just they're just paperweights there. So, and then he watched his entire life, like you were saying earlier, ahead of time. So like he's seen everything that's happened as far as Infinity Stones and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's true. He did watch that video. I just thought it was because we, the audience, didn't know the staff had an Infinity Stone
Right.
in it until that moment. But I just the way he was talking about it today was like, do you think he knew about it all along? Anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
Well, that's really all the stuff that I have written down.
Oh,
What else y'all got?
I don't know if y'all realize this, but when they're torturing X5, that grate that's underneath him, you know why it's there, right? Because when they squish people,
Oh, let it all drain out.
yeah, they can just let it all drain out and it's easier to clean up.
I just thought that was his toilet.
I mean, it could be. It might as well.
Well,
But I was just like,
yeah.
oh, like once I realized what that box did, I was like, oh, that's horrifying.
That freaking box, like I thought it was great, the interrogation. I hated
Yeah.
Mobius outside the whole time because I was like, we know what y'all are doing. That's
Yeah.
not.
Well, like
Jeremy
mentioned this on one of our Bat Madness episodes, but like a jail cell that locks from the inside, like why would you have that?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. But I thought the interrogation scene was great, and but watching that box close in, that was making me all kinds of like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. Oh, I don't like it. Like, could you imagine like all the squatting and stuff like that? Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I
No.
want to know how they were able to do that in like with the VFX and stuff. Like because like you see a skin actually like smash up against the box and things, not to
Yeah.
trigger you on your claustrophobia, but I was just like, this is pretty impressive. Again, the VFX and everything looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was really cool how they did all that.
We got a little heads up on Renslayer. What do y'all think is going on there?
So, all right, I got a theory, and it's a wild theory.
Ooh, yes, let's hear this.
All right, so we're learning. Obi tries to like open the blast shields, and it says something about like temporal aura, like uncompatible. So they need he who remains is like essentially soul. I think that's what they're saying. A temporal aura is like the soul of a person.
Okay.
And they need, so obviously that's why they're going to go get Victor Timely, is they need him to probably open the blast shield. But I've been trying to figure out this whole Miss Minutes thing, because they mentioned in this episode that she is like a rogue AI, but I think so there's something more about her than just an AI. I'm wondering, are they going to do like the comic book stuff where at some point Ravonna Renslayer got her like temporal aura like split in half, maybe not 3 times, but in half. And Miss Minutes is like Ravonna Renslayer.
Oh,
Like I said, it's a wild theory. I don't think it may be true. But there's something about her, and that would explain why she like follows Kang and does all the stuff, is because she is in love with him.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's
Man.
interesting.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
Maybe. I will say this much. You saying the Victor, like, I never thought about that, but like that makes complete sense. The whole getting Victor Timely there to kind of
Yeah.
fake it out or whatever the case was. And something else that I noticed is that like through the first 2 episodes, we've pretty much seen most everything the trailers have shown.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I kind of like.
Same.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, yes, you've already seen this stuff in the trailers. However, there's 4 episodes left that you have not seen much of. Like, we know Victor Timely's coming, but that's really about it. Like, and that Miss Minutes is going to get big.
Yeah. Yes.
She's a big bitch.
That's a huge bitch. That's from was it Deuce Bigelow, I think. Anyway, yeah, no, I a lot of people have mentioned that is like all the crap that we've seen in the trailers is just from like these first 2 episodes, it seems, and then whatever
I like it.
is going on with the Victor Timely thing, which I'm assuming is next episode, maybe. Yeah, and absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Like, I like it. I'm super excited. This is a whole new ball game. We don't know what we're dealing with. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like Moon Knight where they showed you all the good scenes in the trailer and then that's it.
And then he blacks out when we thought we'd get even better scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, Moon Knight. Last thing I have is there was a very deep cut when Sylvie is at McDonald's and they first walk in. Sylvie says the line, "Bill, your order is up." A lot of people are theorizing this was like a sort of a fan favorite during that comic book run, but when Thor rebuilt, or when Asgard gets rebuilt in Bronxton, Oklahoma, there's a character named Bill Cobb who eventually falls in love with an Asgardian. Anyway, she falls in love with him as well. He basically helps fight against Loki and some of Loki's like henchmen. He dies. And anyway, Balder basically, like, he dies in Balder's arms. But because of how he died, he gets to go to Valhalla. So like the lover gets to go there and see him. Apparently it's a cool story that a lot of people like.
Oh, cool.
But everyone thinks that that's the reference to that Bill.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
That is a really like obscure
Deep
way
cut.
around that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right then. Well, we've talked about Renslayer. We've talked about Victor Timely. Is there anywhere else that we can think of that we may be going with this? Like,
no, I still think something's up with Obi. I do. He knows too much. Like, either like I can't claim I had this idea. It may have been Eric Voss because I've been watching a shitload of like YouTube videos. But I wonder if Obi was the original He Who Remains or something like that, and Kang like took that away from him, wiped his mind or something like that.
I was starting to wonder kind of the same stuff. Like, was he there at the very beginning? Like, because we keep going back to this handbook. Like, this handbook is very important. This is a big deal. And we've brought it up. And then Casey, I almost thought for a second that Casey was a younger version of Obi. Because Casey was so like infatuated with Obi, and he's like, "Oh, I've read it, I've memorized it, this and that." And it's like nobody else has talked about this fucking handbook. Nobody gives a shit about this handbook. Now all of a sudden we're here at season 2, and it's all about the handbook.
Yeah.
So, you were talking last episode about how you hope he's not nefarious, you hope he's not a Kang variant and things like that. But I'm starting to see kind of like what you're talking about. Like, there's something there. I can't quite put my finger on it either of like what it is. I don't think nefarious, but I think it's almost like he has, but he hasn't had his mind wipe or something. I don't know. It is something weird though.
What also says a lot to Kang, the guy who literally had a monument built to him, would still allow the handbook to have not only the picture of the guy who wrote it, but like his name in it as well. So
yeah,
you would think he would have Miss Minutes or himself or the Timekeepers when he covered everything up with the Timekeepers, and like they wrote it. So something that speaks volumes to me, and I don't know what that exactly is saying yet, but something's fishy. That's all I know.
Yeah, because I was going to sit there and say that, maybe when He Who Remains left kind of the podium, or Kang left the podium to allow the Timekeepers to be the face of who's in charge that Obi wrote it then. You know what I mean? Or was instructed to write it or whatever then. But you would think it would have been, he would have had the timekeepers be the ones over that book.
Yeah.
So
especially like once you've erased everybody's memory, just rewrite it or whatever, like change it on there. It's so weird.
you just pull those 2 pages out and you just put new ones in.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever it is. But I don't know. It's very strange. It's almost like He Who Remains like forgot about him or something. Like he's so insignificant that he just forgot about him. Which is on brand for everybody else at the TVA.
Right.
My other theory I was thinking about today when rewatching it is I'm worried Loki may die. Maybe not at this season, but Tom Hiddleston may eventually make like a sacrifice, and then we get Sylvie as like our new Loki for the MCU going forward. I hope that doesn't help him because I like Tom Hiddleston a lot, and I don't think it will. But I just had this weird thought today of like, I could see them doing that. He makes like this ultimate sacrifice for her, and she's now the person that has to like go collect whatever the multiversal of whatever the fuck we're getting in Secret Wars. But anyway.
Well, I could definitely see that because I think the whole time, and it was even brought back up in this episode, is that Loki, you're a villain.
Yeah.
That's what you're good at. You know what I mean? And so like, and that's what was the first season was all about, was like all Lokis are villains.
Yeah.
They're all agents of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are any good. Whereas, Sylvie as a child, was being hunted down, and she was talking about Valkyries and things like that. She didn't seem to have any ill intent.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the end of Loki's story, he's pretty much on the verge of being a good guy,
Mm-hmm.
So, and for him to be a branched Loki and then have the same kind of story at the end, like that means that it changes the story of all Lokis. You know what I mean? Like they don't all have to be bad. So
yeah, and it would be on brand with the Lamentus episode, whatever that one's called. Is it called Lamentus? I don't know. Anyway, where him and Sylvie are talking about how like we're losers because like he agrees with X5 about how like you're a loser, and they even say that in that episode about how like we're losers. Lokis lose. That's what we do. We always end up losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be on brand with that if like Sylvie has now found someone that she cares about. Ironically, it's herself. And same thing for Loki as well. And then she loses him. Like I said, I don't know if it'll happen, but there's a glimpse of it today that I was like, oh God, they may actually do that.
I mean, he's had a pretty awesome run, so better end on a high note.
Yeah.
Well, y'all got anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Cool. Jeremy, where can they find you at till next episode?
They can find me on Twitch under the handle Night Fury GTO. It's Night with a K, and you can find me here.
You gonna be playing that Spider-Man?
Does it come out this week?
It comes out this week? The 20th, which is in 4 days.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I finished the first one. Have yet to do anything on Miles or the DLC stuff, but yeah,
you're killing me, Small.
I tried to get it all. I just couldn't get it finished.
Look at disappointment on Richard's face.
So disappointed.
Hey, I got the first one done in like, I don't know, a month, less than a month.
It felt like 3 months.
Did it?
I don't know what it was. I didn't time you.
I thought I got it done pretty quick, actually. Got it done before I did Guardians.
Yeah, I know. We're still waiting on that.
I think I got further along in Guardians. That's saying something.
Somebody should play Guardians so I can talk. It's good. I like it.
I like it. I enjoy it. It's just trying time for me to play is just difficult. Yeah. You finished a game in a month. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Richard, where can I find you at?
You can find me on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and the Threads. My handle is Night Curry, night like day and night, and Curry with a K. If you want to contact us directly, we have a Gmail. Our Gmail is comicallycomicspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to check us out on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, you can check us out under the name Comically Comics Podcast. And if you want to check us out on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, you can check us out under the name Comic League Comics with an X. Ba-na-na-na-na-na.
Every time. In the meantime, we're going to take a break from Loki. Next episode, we're going to be doing our Halloween special, so please be sure to check that out. I think it's going to be a fun one. We're doing Batman The Long Halloween. So come and join us, listen to that, and be sure to go hit us up on Spotify. We'll have a question asking you, what you think about the episode and stuff like that. Come over there, interact with us, answer our questions and stuff like that. Hit us up on IG as well, like Richard was saying. You can talk to us there too. In the meantime, though, you can find me on Instagram and eBay at 22_comics. You can also find me on YouTube at 22 comics. Thank y'all so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed as much as we did. With all that being said, say goodbye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy. Bye.
Yeah.
Hey, OB, this is Casey. I thought I could help. OB?
We're all gonna die. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. We're all gonna die.
What do you mean?